Wind up, Jason! Your work isn't finished!
This is a one-time gig. When it's done, we're done.
Let's dance, asshole!
So I recently watched Frankenweenie this Tuesday because I was sitting down on the couch. I was trying to figure out exactly what I was going to do to, chill and just relax for that evening. And I was looking on my TV guide to see what was on the television. And I knew a couple of you guys recommended me to check out Frankenweenie because I do know it is a movie that you guys wanted me to talk about on the channel. And luckily enough, it was on the television. So I just sat down on my couch. I was relaxing with my dog. We both had a very good time. My dog was just laying with me, taking a little nap, looking super adorable as always. And I actually had a really good time watching this film. I pretty much want to be giving you guys my overall thoughts on Frankenweenie, how I feel about it when it comes from the story perspective, when it comes to Tim Burton's vision, like we normally see within each of his films. We're going to be talking about everything in this video. So if you guys have any thoughts of your own that you guys want to share with me when it comes to Frankenweenie, that you guys want to let me know in the comments, be sure to do so down below. So one of the things that I truly appreciate about Frankenweenie is how distinctly Tim Burton it feels. Because from the moment the film starts, Burton's signature style is evident in everything. From the black and white animation to the quirky offbeat characters, Burton has always been great at blending the strange with the heartwarming, and in Frankenweenie, he does this to perfection because the film looks and feels like a love letter to classic horror, yet it has a personal emotional depth that makes it stand out from other animated films. And the animation is incredibly detailed, and the choice to use stop motion adds a unique texture to the world because every tiny movement of the characters feels deliberate, and the decision to make the film black and white gives it a vintage feel. It's like we're watching an old, forgotten horror film from decades ago, yet despite these stylistic choices, there's something deeply personal about the way Burton tells this story. It's not just a movie that plays with horror tropes, it's a film that carries a lot of emotional weight. And for me, what really shines through in Burton's vision is the way he tells a universal story of loss and grief through such a strained, fantastical lens. And his world might be filled with exaggerated characters and oddball humor, but the emotions are real and relatable, and it's a movie where the visuals and narrative work together beautifully to create something that feels both nostalgic and fresh. And the heart of Frankenweenie revolves around one of the most universal human experiences: loss. Because as someone who's lost a pet before, I found Victor's bond with Sparky to be incredibly relatable because when Sparky dies, Victor's decision to bring him back to life isn't just an experiment, it's an act of desperation, a refusal to let go of something that means so much to him. I think we've all experienced that feeling in some form, the desire to hold on to someone or something we've lost, even when we know it's not possible. And what's interesting about Frankenweenie is how it explores the consequences of that refusal to accept loss, because by bringing Sparky back to life, Victor sets off a chain of events that spiral out of control, and it's only then that he realizes there are limits to what we can control. And this part of the movie resonated with me because it's such a powerful metaphor for grief. Sometimes in our pain, we make decisions that may not be the best, and we have to learn to face the consequences and eventually move forward. In my view, Frankenweenie handles the themes of loss in a way that is accessible to all ages. It never feels too heavy or overwhelming, but it doesn't shy away from showing the sadness and complexity that come with saying goodbye to someone you love. It's a story that reminds us that while loss is inevitable, the love we share for others can still live on in different ways. One of the most thought-provoking aspects of Frankenweenie is how it tackles the ethical questions surrounding science and experimentation. Because Victor's attempt to bring Sparky back to life is a modern twist on the Frankenstein mythos, and it's fascinating to see how the film examines the moral gray area of his actions. And from my perspective, this is where the film really gets interesting. Victor's scientific curiosity isn't driven by a desire for fame or power, It's fueled by love and grief. Yet, even with the best intentions, his actions raise questions about the limits of science and the potential consequences of pushing beyond those limits. And what I found compelling is how the movie doesn't present science as inherently good or bad. Instead, it shows that it's how we use scientific knowledge that matters, because Victor's love for Sparky leads him to blur the lines between life and death, but the film makes it clear that some boundaries exist for a reason. The chaos that ensues when his classmates follow in his footsteps showcases this point. When we meddle with forces we don't fully understand, things can quickly spiral out of control. And for me, this exploration of science and morality adds an extra layer of depth to Frankenweenie. It's not just a story about bringing a dog back to life, it's also about understanding the responsibilities that come with knowledge. The film asks us to consider the impact of our choices, even when they come from a place of love or good intentions. And while Frankenweenie focused heavily on Victor and Sparky, I also found the relationship between Victor and the other characters to be really interesting, because early in the movie, Victor is somewhat of a loner, lost in his experiments and grief. However, as things start to unravel, we see him relying more on the people around him, especially his classmates. This shift from isolation to community is an important part of the film and is something I found especially meaningful. The kids in Victor's town aren't just side characters, they represent different perspectives on life, science, and the consequences of your actions. And when they start their own experiments, it's clear that they don't fully grasp the potential dangers, which serves as a parallel to Victor's own struggle. It's through their collective mistakes that they all learn something valuable about responsibility and empathy. I think this shows how important it is to be surrounded by people who challenge us and help us grow, even when things go wrong. In my eyes, the way Frankenweenie portrays friendship and connection adds the emotional depth to the film. The moment when Victor's classmates band together to help him reflect the importance of community support, especially when dealing with difficult emotions like grief, is a reminder that we don't have to go through things alone, that the people in our lives that can help us find our way even in the darkest times. One thing I love about Frankenweenie as well is how timeless the story feels. Although it's a stop-motion animated film, it never feels locked in a specific time period. The themes of love, loss, and the acceptance of death are universal, and they resonate with audiences of all ages. I think that's one of the reasons the movie left such a lasting impression on me. Whether you've lost a pet, a friend, or a loved one, the emotions explored in this film are the ones we've all experienced in some way. Even though the story is based on the 1984 short, it feels just as relevant today as it did before. The black and white aesthetic might give it a retro vibe, but the core message is timeless. The way the film handles grief, love, and the process of moving forward is something that we all continue to resonate for generations to come. I find it incredible how Frankenweenie manages to feel both nostalgic and fresh, blending old school horror influences with a deeply personal, emotional story. And in the end, what makes Frankenweenie so special to me is how it combines the fantastical with the heartfelt. It's not just a quirky gothic tale, it's a movie about coming to terms with loss, learning to let go, and realizing that love doesn't end with death, and that's a message that will never go out of style. Frankenweenie is more than just this animated horror homage. It's a deeply personal and emotional film that explores love, loss, and the consequences of your actions. Tim Burton's unique vision brings the story to life in a way that is both visually striking and emotionally resonant. From the exploration of scientific ethics to the powerful theme of letting go, the film offers so much more than meets the eye. For me, Frankenweenie stands out not just because of its style, but because of its heart. It's a movie that reminds us of the enduring power of love, even in the face of loss, and that's something that will always resonate with me. I am glad that I was able to check out this movie the other day because, like I said, it has been highly requested by a lot of you guys. I always get comments every single time about you guys recommending me to check out Frankenweenie, so I did watch it on Tuesday, and I am very happy that I did because I had a lot of fun watching that movie, and it just made me appreciate my relationship with my dog. Even though I appreciate my relationship with my dog and I love him so very much, it definitely made me appreciate it even more just because of the connection that Victor had with Sparky. And so in a way, it was kind of like a movie for the both of us to really look at how close me and my dog's relationship is, so it definitely really hit home there. But Other than that, if you guys have any thoughts of your own when it comes to Frankenweenie, any stories you want to share, any thoughts on the film that you guys want to share, just anything that comes to mind, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below. And if you guys enjoy the content on the channel, be sure to like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. If you want to follow me on my social media, be sure to check out my Twitter, my Instagram, my Facebook, and my TikTok. All of that is located in the description below. Be sure to click on that bell for notifications so you guys are notified whenever I drop a video on the channel. But other than that, I hope all of you guys are having a fantastic day, wherever the day may be, if it's the daytime, the nighttime, or the evening. And I'll see you guys in the next video. As always, peace out.